Hello, good morning. Welcome to SJU. I have missed every single person on the internet and at this table and in the room. Everyone, really, with some few exceptions. Danielle Radford is with me.
Hello, good morning. We brought you guys a Roth.
And if you've never met me before, I'm Roth Cornet. Nice to meet you. Eric Goldman is here.
Welcome back from your trip, Roth.
And Mr. Ed Greer, thank you very much. Mr. Ed Greer on a Monday.
Yeah,
He's gonna...
my first Monday.
Yes.
And it's you. I couldn't get a greater gift.
Well, I will tell you the truth, Ed, is that I knew that you and Danielle were going to be on Mondays, and so I put my foot down. No, I didn't. I asked if I could do it with them because I love them so much and I think they're great. And very politely, Ryan said, fine. I haven't done SJU in a while, so is everybody going to be gentle with me?
Yeah. We're easy.
Yeah. Great.
And all the internet, because they're all nice.
Yeah. Everyone on our internet happens to be very nice.
That's true. That is true.
I think we've been missing your pleasant taskmaster.
Yay!
I think we've been missing that a little bit.
Well, let's just go ahead and whoopsh with love and talk about the Patman. The Patman is official, ladies and gentlemen, and we're here for it? Question mark? I don't know how everybody feels just yet. This is via Variety and everywhere on the internet. Matt Reeves tweeted out basically the bat signal. I think it was the bat signal and an image from Good Time.
It wasn't the bat signal. It was a GIF of Pattinson from Good Time, and then like three bats.
Three bats.
Yeah,
thank you.
With it,
which I say is the bat signal, and Good Time, which I have thoughts on, which I want to share. But let's start with a very important question from Dan Merle. Are we calling it Robert Pattinson or our bats?
Oh, they're both really good. I'm okay with switching them out.
Yeah?
Yeah, just depending on how you're feeling that day.
I like Robert Pattinson. I don't know, it just feels more punny, and I embrace the puns, so I go with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think I'd just say Battinson.
Okay.
I did that.
Yeah.
I did that
like
earlier.
Batflick, yeah.
Nobody's going for Patman. Very good. Yay! Patman! One for Patman. So let's start with the obvious question, and then we have some deeper dives on this news. And I have a theory on what that particular use of that GIF means from Matt Reeves, because tinfoil hats are what I do. But are you pleased? Are you into Robert Pattinson as Batman?
Yeah, I think it's great. It sucks so hard that everyone's like, "Ooh, Batman's gonna glow and be sparkly," as though actors haven't had different roles all of the time. When Ben Affleck was cast, everyone wasn't like, "Oh, is he gonna be chasing after a lesbian the whole movie?" No one did that, but they did that with him.
That's a Chasing Amy reference.
It's a Chasing Amy reference.
Tracers.
Yeah, and no one, so I don't know. It feels like it's unfair because Robert Pattinson is actually, because he got to make those movies and make his, all of that money really quickly, he's gone and done a lot of really interesting things afterwards, and it sucks that he's always going to be sparkly vampire dude.
Yeah, Ed, your thoughts, and also, do you have a Reindeer Games reference that you'd like to include?
No, I don't. Or maybe Gigli. But, I just personally want them to try. It states here that they're going to do the whole detective jazz. I just would like them to try. And I would like them to just try to do that aesthetic. Just figure it out. Because everybody knows that detective stories are hard to write because you have to be really intelligent.
Yes.
You have to design something that makes sense. It can't just be like old school Miss Marple or some of these things that are just like, it can only come out this way. I think Miss Marple's great.
Okay, I was gonna say.
But right now we won't stand for Batman in a drawing room talking to several suspects. Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That aesthetic is gone. I think at this point, Columbo would have to beat some ass in 2019. Vin Diesel, Columbo. One more thing.
Wow, Vin Diesel is Columbo.
Dream casting. Anyway, so to finish my point, I would just like them to try the detective thing, which I think they're going to do. And I like the fact that if we have a young, lithe Batman, I would love for them to hire some John Wick type dudes to get me a Batman that's smooth and slick and whooping some ass when he has to. And then he'll sit down and think about some stuff. But when it's time to whoop some ass, he's smooth and slick, and they're not covering up for the fact that somebody's 50.
Yeah, I think
or 80 or whatever.
Yeah, you're making a really good point where a friend of mine said this the other day too, and I can't remember about which movie, but noting how hard it is to write a mastermind because you have to be smarter than that character who apparently is the most intelligent person who ever lived. So what do you think? Can Matt Reeves do it? Can Pat do it?
First of all, when Ben Affleck was cast, I was like, oh, great, now Batman's going to beat up teenagers, freshmen in the 70s in Texas. That's my pet peeve is the oh great. I always say it's the oh great thing when they go to the one thing they can think of. No, I think he'll be awesome. I think Robert Pattinson will be great. I really have so much faith in Matt Reeves, who I think is just an excellent filmmaker. And I think Pattinson has proven over and over again that he's a really good actor, and that people should not judge him for Twilight, which he did what he was asked to do. I think most of the people that are going to have the reactionary, what, the kid from Twilight, haven't seen him in all the things he's done since. Probably haven't even seen Twilight. But I think I have a lot of faith in this, and I know they talked a couple weeks ago when it was just even the rumors of him and Nicholas Hoult as the finalists. Like, there's going to be this burden around him, but every Batman has had to deal with that. I mean, Affleck probably came in with the most diverse resume at that point, but a lot of other times, whether it be Batman himself with Keaton or Heath Ledger, who was coming off of Brokeback Mountain, which was an amazing performance, but there were people saying, oh great, I guess the Joker will be a gay cowboy, because again, actors can't act and they can't do different roles.
I'm surprised they didn't do 10 Things I Hate About You references.
I know.
Again.
Because Brokeback was so recent, and the
Knight's Tale.
Knight's Tale, yeah. Is he going to be a rock and roll knight?
No,
which would have been awesome, Batman.
To be clear, 10 Things I Hate About You is amazing.
Yes, it is. Everything we just mentioned is amazing. Actually, Brokeback
in its own right.
I think Pattinson is going to kill it. I think that and it's one of those things where you have to also roll your eyes, because the people who are most angry are also going to go see it, because if they're that angry about Batman casting, they're also guaranteed to buy a ticket for the new Batman movie. I think that not only will it be a success because it's Batman, I think it'll end up being a really good movie.
Yeah, I think so too. So Eric and I worked together at IGN. We did. Do you remember? I wiped it from
I remember that time, yeah.
And I remember when Ben Affleck was cast as the Batman, and yourself, myself, Scott Kalura, Jim I think Vejvoda, and Joey Esposito all got together and did a video saying that we liked the casting, that Ben Affleck could act, and that this was interesting. Yeah. And we got torn a new one. The internet that day was displeased.
Gives and takes.
Yeah, gives and it takes. But I will chime in myself and say that I'm all for this. I think Pattinson has proven himself again and again and again to be a really good actor. And to your point, Eric, I have seen all the Twilight movies. This is my also moment to plug the fact that we have a documentary about Twilight fandom that's going to be coming. That's right. That's going to be coming out and released in just a couple of weeks. So
it's really good, guys.
Get excited about that. But he was, I have to admit that when I rewatched the movies, it is weird what he's doing in those movies, but I have to say that he was being directed.
Of course, of course.
Someone directed him
when he gives the stare to her when she comes to the classroom, it's not like that was a choice. It was like, they're like, no, you're going to stare at her really intense because this movie's about this intensity. You know, that's the thing.
And I think it was a really difficult thing to capture, this idea that, because what's happening for that character is that her scent is making him want to kill her. And he's trying to convey that, but also be in a teen romance drama. Yeah. Difficult thread, needle to thread. But I will say, so Good Time. If you guys seen Good Time?
I have.
Yeah, it is. First of all, it's a great movie and you should see it. It's incredibly kinetic and visceral, and he is the driving force in this movie. I mean, he is absolutely propulsive. He is so good in this movie. He's a completely different character than you've ever seen him play before. He's been great in a lot of things, by the way, outside of Twilight. No sleep on Cedric Diggory. But outside of that, too, he's been great. But Good Time is the one, and I think it's notable that that is the image that Matt Reeves used. Why? I think he's reminding everyone on the internet, like, this guy can really, really, really act. And if you haven't seen Good Time, check it out and watch how well he can act. Fantastic film. But then also, of course, we do know that this is a noir, that this is meant to be a detective movie. And to your point, because we're probably not going to do Batman in a drawing room, sadly, I feel like that was maybe a small hint about the tone that we can expect from this particular, because Good Time is actually, it's not a mystery, but it's basically a kinetic unfolding of events. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong, basically, in this one night. And he probably deserves it to happen, but still.
He does.
And I wonder if we can riff on that about what kind of a Batman this is going to be.
It depends. I mean, if they're doing the Batman who is still very fresh in his grief, even though, you know, he's 30 now and it's been years. I mean, I don't see, he's not going to be a twitchy Batman. It's interesting.
No, he's not going to be like, I don't mean that he's going to play that character, but I feel like there's maybe a raw quality.
Right. Something a little less, because there's always that thing of, you know, Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne, he's the mask and Batman's the real guy. But I feel like you don't get a lot of that so much. Like, you don't get to see as much of the difference between the Bruce Wayne mask, because most people want to concentrate on Batman.
Yeah.
That's way more interesting than, you know, watching someone pretend to be a drunk or watching any of that stuff. I'm interested to see if he does something that's a little less smooth Batman, because I feel like that's kind of something, and I don't know if it came from the cartoon or any of those, but Batman is very, like, slick.
Yeah.
He's very smooth, and I enjoy the idea of something that's a little more normal.
Right, that maybe the mystery is unfold, like there's a time limit, you know, and I don't want it to be a ticking clock or what a bomb's going to go off, but that if there's a time quality that might give it an energy, you know, and that where we really have to see him detecting very quickly, and the fact that he is meant to be so brilliant, which we have not seen.
No.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves, I think you mentioned that, you know, Matt Reeves just talked up the detective aspect for this movie, which makes me really excited, because there is a lot, I mean, there's some great Batman movies, but there's also some huge Batman elements from the comics we've never seen.
Yeah.
And the detective one is probably the most prominent.
Like, literally one of his books is called Detective Comics.
Yeah.
And we don't get any of it.
Yeah,
that's what DC Comics
we don't
is.
get that, right. So I'm really excited and hopeful for that. The fact that Matt Reeves has specifically mentioned it makes me excited. Yeah, and, you know, mentioning his age, it's like Pattinson is 33. He is 4 years older than Christian Bale was when he was cast, originally announced, and so he'll be 35 when this movie opens.
And yet they look the same.
So I'm guessing it's not going to be an origin story, but it will be early in his career, you know. But you know, if we're supposed to say, like, he was, you know, the overseas for 10 years learning to be the world's greatest fighter and detective. I think there's a lot of room there to have, like, a Batman in his prime, as it were, you know, and really present that. And I'm just excited to see even the rumors about, like, you know, that there might be a lot of villains. I don't think it's going to be like a supervillain team. I think there's just a way to layer in some of these characters to have it be in this, because the way the movies have to exist now is like, this is the villain or two villains I will face for right now, and we rarely get an idea that he is, like, constantly interacting with these characters.
Yeah.
Right.
I really like to see that finally.
Well, I mean, that's my thing. Just to end off my part of this, I really think that I've never seen a movie where Batman was sincerely the main dude, besides maybe Batman Begins. We spent a lot of time with Batman. But, like, for the most part, he's got less face time than almost any hero I've ever seen.
Right.
Less face time in his own damn movies than any hero I've ever seen, because they always inundate him with all these villains.
He has great villains, and then they kind of take over.
They take over the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm just envisioning, like, Batman in 7. Filmed almost like that. You know what I mean? Batman
Into
in
it.
7. And I've always liked Batman's. My favorite Batman stories are this: Batman's doing some stuff, preferably as Bruce Wayne. And then he sees something, it's like, no one would notice that, but I, Batman, have noticed this. I shall come back tonight as Batman. He comes back tonight as Batman and detects some stuff, gets inside, and it's way too much, man. There's too much stuff in here. Oh, God, there's all these death robots. There's all this, the ninjas. Oh, something too much. Oh, I just barely got out of there. Woo, that's crazy, bro. I need to do some detecting and thinking, and I'm going to go back and bust their ass later. And that's a Batman story. That's almost every really great Batman story. He detects something, gets in too deep, recovers, and goes back prepared, right? His whole jazz preparedness, and whoops him. So Batman in 7, and when it comes time to whoop some ass, he's John Wick.
Okay, into it.
Seven
if
meets
something-
John Wick
let me-
is
let me-
a good sell.
7 meets John Wick is the
If he
money.
has a little pet bat that something happens to, I will support
If
all
Bat
of that
Mike
revenge.
gets in there somehow.
Bat yes, Bat vengeance style.
You heard guano.
I wonder, follow-up questions for us, since there are these rumors of multiple villains, riffing on what you said, that does concern me initially, because I'm not a big fan of kind of splitting the focus that much in a movie, generally in a superhero movie, but what if there are all these different villains because he is investigating and then dismissing them as he's trying to solve this one particular crime? And will we see Nicholas Hoult maybe after all?
You know, that
Maybe.
I feel like that happens. You know, Sebastian Stan was almost Captain America. Guess what? You're Bucky. Tom Hiddleston auditioned for Thor. Guess what? You're Loki.
And then he took over.
Yeah, and then it became. Guess what? It worked out for Hiddleston. So knowing that it was down to the two of them, I could certainly see a world where Holt gets cast in another prominent role, and like the Riddler, it seems like that would be a good fit for Mr. Holt, who's a really good actor in his own right. So I think that there's certainly that possibility that he could pop up in there.
So we're pitching a whole movie for you, Matt Reeves. If you haven't decided yet, we have some ideas for you, obviously. This is, okay, connected, not connected to the DCEU, the world of DC. Okay, it says he's not officially taking over for Ben Affleck.
He's not going to play the character who fought in Justice League.
He's not going to play the character's next step. So do we think this is like one of the Joker standalone movie that Joaquin Phoenix is doing that's just in a separate multiverse? I mean, are we just like in multiverses now and whatever?
I would be okay with that.
I'd be okay with it
I'm
too.
okay with them not having to feel like they have to connect every little thing and just telling really good stories. As long as it's a good story, that is all I care about. I do not need a connected universe. And you don't have to explain any of it to me. I don't need it to be like a Crisis on Infinite movie versus where they explain that I don't need any of it. Just give me the thing and make it good.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
It's almost it's a weird thing because we still have Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa playing established characters from the Justice League. And yet it's also kind of a fun thing if they never reconnect. Like, it's like they're remnants of this thing that failed, but there were things that didn't fail. And clearly Aquaman and Wonder Woman were like successful elements of this attempt. So why not continue on with them? So yeah, I think when Zach Stentz was on the day that it was down to Pattinson and Holt broke, I think what he said is true, which is that, look, they could always reconnect it later.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. And if they wanted to have Robert Pattinson's Batman team up with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in 3 years and make a weird, vague, in-joke about him looking different to her, they always could. But it's also okay if they never connect. DC especially seems to have just kind of embraced this when you look at TV and the fact that there are multiple versions of the same character on different shows. Right now, it's like, now there's like multiple. How many people have played Alfred, by the way? I think is hysterical.
I feel like that's a trivia question.
Insanity. Like,
I'm going to go with 12.
There was
under 12.
There was a week where the Alfred was announced for Pennyworth, the new TV series. And Alfred was announced, was it for Birds of Prey that I think he'll be in?
Yes.
It was like, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of Alfred. There'll be a different Alfred probably for this. So just embrace it. Just be like, hey, and if you want to do an insane crisis one day where you try to get everyone,
Sure.
maybe
Maybe it makes sense, but maybe it doesn't. And maybe there's a world in which this Batman and I don't know the time. Do we know the time period this takes place in? Do we know?
I don't know that we do.
And
do we know
plus,
this period?
And we don't know because also it's like you could always also do the Burton and honestly Schumacher thing of like cities that exist out of time almost.
Yeah,
or even the animated series, which was like Art Deco mixed with modern stuff.
Which is, I think, a correct aesthetic. But we know like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is in the 80s.
A 70s.
But
very 70s aesthetic for sure.
Same thing. Well, that's because like we've said the whole time, it's clearly Taxi Driver plus the King of Comedy. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We said that the day, you remember, were you there?
I think the day we were talking about it, we got nuts in here about the Joker.
We did. We were excited. Let's get nuts. Billy had an idea that the internet did not favor, but I thought was pretty interesting. Was that, oh God, I'm going to say it again. We're going to get yelled at again. But his idea was that the Joker would be take place in a world in which the Joker IP existed, and that this guy like kind of loses it and starts to develop, identify with that IP, to an unhealthy degree. Anyway, talk to me about the Patman.
No, I think we got it pretty well covered. Seven meets John Wick with Batman. And yes,
in a drawing room.
Yes. Oh, Catwoman, I believe that you stole the diamonds. Now you sit right there. Now, Clown Man.
Clown Man is not going to stick. I need a better name.
let's workshop this. The clown man, the clowner.
There's no bad ideas, you guys. Just spit them out.
That's what about.
Jokey. I don't know.
What if it's like in the 30s?
Dude, no,
That'd be awesome.
That would be great.
Yeah, but no, I like the fact that they're doing the whole. I love what you guys have said about the multiverse and how just let it be.
Yeah.
You know, when we're talking about should it be in the DCEU. No, that's the answer.
Yeah,
the answer is no. Don't worry about trying to connect them. Do good stuff, and it'll all dovetail back around.
Yep.
And then like 3 movies, Gal Gadot is gonna want to be like, I'm gonna go be, I'm gonna play, I don't know, Cleopatra. I don't know, something. You know what I mean? She's going to want to do something else.
No.
Obviously not.
No.
But I'm talking about what Hollywood would do, not what I would do.
I don't think Hollywood would do that anymore with Cleopatra. I don't think so. Hollywood, you're not going to do that with Cleopatra ever again.
Shame them. But yeah, so I think you're all right.
No.
Yeah.
Not if you would like people to see your Cleopatra movie.
Okay,
Not if you don't want to hear from Black Twitter.
She's a super high version of Marie Curie. Whatever.
Sure,
Yeah. And that'd be super great.
You're talking about her Oscar movie. You're talking about the movie where she wants to get her Oscar.
Exactly, and she's gonna want to get, or maybe she wants to just go do good works like Chris Evans.
Yeah.
He's off throwing his shield at all types of stuff off the screen, and that's cool though. He's living his life.
Chris.
Yeah, he's living his
won.
life.
He came
battle.
in, it was neck and neck, and then he took off like a racehorse.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm just saying, when you look at the natural progression of people's careers, you can only keep them so long anyway. So build your arcs in such a fashion where Pattinson, if he decides he's like, man, this Batman gig is kind of like some Bond stuff. I could be like Roger Moore Bond for like 10, 12 years, be Batman. This is pretty sick.
Yeah.
And then do whatever art house thing you want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he could buy into that and be Batman for this era, this early era, and a later iteration. Like you guys were saying, it's all perfect.
Maybe Gal goes full monster. Puts on that Charlize makeup. You don't know.
What you said, by the way, though, I do share the worry of like the too many villains worry, but I have a feeling, again, hearing it's a detective story, I think it's something akin to what you said. Like, you could have Penguin has the mob boss he is in the comics, and he only needs to be in a couple scenes if you want to really like build up this world. And yes, of course, someone will turn out to be the main villain for this movie, but yeah, you don't have to have it be like Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones plotting together. You know,
Well, no,
a different way
like
to
you were
present
saying,
this
like
world.
It's a larger plot, and as we work through the suspects, we go into these different worlds. The
Right.
low Bowery with all the birds and stuff, and then we go over where the cats are at, and the da 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 da. You know,
Right.
But
go
also,
to the different gangs.
I will accept no more Batman Forever slander at this table.
No, that's fair. I think that's
Spoiling
everybody is allowed to have their Batman.
Can I say, because we referenced earlier that you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. I was very sad. I was happy and then sad because I don't know if you guys saw when Michael Keaton made a surprise cameo on SNL in one of the last episodes of this season, and they had him say he was playing Assange, and they had him go, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." And I went, "Yay!" And it had almost zero reaction because SNL had BTS on that week, and the audience was all like BTS, like huge fans who were not going to get the 1989 Batman reference.
Yeah.
But I was like, he said the thing, but no one really cared.
But the internet cared.
The internet
cared.
Yes.
Oh man, when you find yourself in times of Batman, let it be. I think that's what we've learned today. I feel like we've learned a good lesson. You guys, we're SJ News. No, we're not. We're Fandom Entertainment now. So I hope you like and subscribe. Hi, Ryan. Killing it.
She's on vacation, guys.
Still on every Monday.
That was my one Ron Burgundy for the day. I'm the head of it.
Oh, man.
We have great stuff on fandom.com, like Eric's article. Tell us about it.
I don't need to go too deep into it because I talked a lot about it on Friday, but my full article on sort of the overview of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, fans can live a true Star Wars experience at Disneyland's Galaxy's Edge. You should check it out just to kind of get an idea of everything you'll get there. And later on today, I'll be publishing my story on the foods of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, what it's like to drink some blue milk.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, what did it taste like?
It tasted kind of like, I've been saying, it tasted almost like a Jamba Juice because it was like a sort of
like a fruity-
It had the coconut junket sort of thing
Oh,
going
cool.
to it. Yeah.
That's
So
actually.
it was pretty good.
It sounds pretty.
Yeah. Yes.
I will head to the
So I
cantina.
can see why Luke was chugging that stuff.
Yeah, both delicious, hydrating. There is an X-Men Cram It to get you ready for Dark Phoenix. That is available on the Screen Junkies channel. You should check that out as well. I know I will be. And to figure out, I was gone while this was made, so I haven't seen the cut yet. So I don't know how we untangled that mess. But I look forward to finding out. We have fan questions.
Yay!
ACW Pictures asks, with the casting of Pattinson, which I guess we're agreed on,
what?
I was curious, what performance from an actor pleasantly surprised you?
Geez, I want to say and this is going to be one of those ones where I do that thing where I'm like, and that person in this movie with this thing. But I want to say that it was in the Tanya Harding movie.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian
Oh,
Stan.
yeah.
I mean, I knew he was good, obviously, but he murdered in that
Yeah.
movie. He was fantastic. And I guess it wasn't one of those ones where I thought that he was bad. I just didn't realize he was going to carry so much of the movie away with him.
Yeah.
Especially when you had her doing such a great job as Tanya Harding. So yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, he was great.
He was so good.
I'm going to circle back to some DC stuff, and a DC movie I think is terrible, but Jai Courtney in Suicide Squad. Jai Courtney was coming off of some real bad misses with Terminator, where he was horribly miscast as Kyle Reese.
Yep.
Kind of like, just too buff, too surfer bro
Oh
for
my
Kyle
God,
Reese.
yes, thank you.
Die Hard 5, which is just an abysmal movie. Like, I can't believe they released it in theaters abysmal. And I felt bad for Jai Courtney because he was one of those people that are like, you're the next big thing, and he gets pushed in people's faces with bad projects. And I really liked him on Spartacus, which is a great show you should check out.
He was great.
But he was kind of coming off bland in these movies. And then Suicide Squad, which again, I hate that movie, but he is a hell of a lot of fun. He's like Captain Boomerang, and he's getting to do his natural accent. He's Australian, but he's pushing it far. And he just seems to be like, oh, they're finally letting me like kind of just be goofy and not have to be like, I'm the hero, that he was doing in these movies that didn't work for him. And I think, he was just a really cool aspect of it. And the fact that I believe he said he's coming back in James Gunn's sequel makes me very happy, because I feel like because he was such a standout in a bad movie, I feel like James Gunn could have a lot of fun with him. Or he could kill him in the first scene. But it would still be pretty fun.
Right.
But if he did, he would kill him well.
He had a good scene.
he would have a nice death
'Cause
scene.
I bet Gunn respects that he was a weird, fun, a surprising standout of that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Ed?
I think mine is it's stupid, but I really, when I heard that Bradley Cooper was going to do Rocket, I didn't like that. Because I figured that if there's one role for an ugly, it's an off.
Wasting that on that face.
Why are you giving this pretty guy?
There's one role for an ugly. Be off screen and do
Trash
a
Panda.
raccoon's voice. If there's one role and he comes and takes that one, sucks. And then I learned how much of the performance is a collaboration between him and I'm blanking his name, James Gunn's brother. He's
Sean Gunn.
Sean Gunn.
Yeah.
Sean Gunn.
Yeah.
He does the actual inflections
Right.
and
Yeah.
stuff on screen for everybody to react to, and Bradley notes those and takes those into account in his performance and in picks and pulls, and it's both of them doing like.
I love Rocket.
Rocket
great.
is great.
Yeah.
Great.
And their collaboration, from the movements to the his little slouch. He's like he's walking erect, but it's a little slouchy because it's like, I always got somewhere to go. I'm always in this direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many factors that make him a real person.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And I was pleasantly surprised that Bradley Cooper could get there with the voice, and that it would all come together and coalesce that way. I was pleasantly surprised, and Rocket's one of my favorite characters.
Yep.
Bradley Cooper's a really good actor. I mean, if I'm one Marvel character, it is definitely Rocket. I am Rocket. If I am any Marvel character, that's the one. But yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because I was going to say a couple of different things, but now I'm going to switch and say, because you reminded me of Bradley Cooper. I'll just tell you really quickly. This is a combination of things of, I think, the filmmaking, but also the actor, which was 21 Jump Street, Channing Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That was
I
really
went
big
into-
deal for him.
It
yeah.
really was, because I went into that movie thinking, A, the movie is not going to be good, and then B, Channing Tatum is fine, but whatever. And I walked out of there.
He'll be there to be the straight man to Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
And I walked out there, and Channing Tatum absolutely
funny.
stole the entire movie right under Jonah Hill. And it was such a turning point for him in his career. We all know he's hilarious now.
Yeah.
But that was a very refreshing surprise. on a different note, a comedic actor turning serious was, I don't know if you've ever seen Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
Adam Sandler, if he wanted to,
Yep.
could be an actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't chosen to yet, but
That was the time.
When the Independence Day ships come over, that's the amount of shade. That's the amount of shade.
He could be an actor if he wanted to be an actor. All credit to if you could then just buy an island with the amount of money you're making not being an actor,
Yeah.
maybe you would choose that too.
When
maybe
Netflix
I would.
is like, here's the truck of
Here's
money.
the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he could really, really act. He was great in that movie.
He was.
But so was Gaga in A Star Is Born. She was a surprise for me.
oh, that was a very, especially because like
You weren't surprised?
I was surprised. I was super surprised because we'd heard some reports that like maybe she wasn't as great, and I haven't liked her in some of the acting projects that she's done. I think she's coming. She's trying. This is not what the kind of theatrics that she's used to. But yeah, no, I thought that she was really good as Allie. I just that movie that is bad romance, kids. Don't do that thing.
Don't do that
Bad Romance
Don't
is
do
a
that romance.
song
Don't
by
do
a
that
certain
romance.
musical artist.
What I heard is that he, frankly, was teaching her how to act during the movie. But good job, Bradley.
very good.
Great work.
This question comes from Tommy the Third. Have you guys talked about the Dark Crystal trailer yet? I don't know,
We
but
have
we're
not.
going
We
to
have
right
not.
now.
The answer is no.
What did you think of it?
So here's the thing.
Answer well.
I really like the trailer, but I'm coming from the place of I didn't see Dark Crystal as a kid. I was a Labyrinth kid. I don't know if you have to choose.
No.
When you're a jet, you're off.
I loved Labyrinth. For some reason, I never saw Dark Crystal, and I saw it as an adult, and I didn't quite get it. I was like, I don't know. But I've heard that people have the opposite. They grew up with Dark Crystal, they watched Labyrinth. They're like, And I know, of course, there's nostalgia and whatnot. This trailer is great. Like, there's something really sort of, ethereal and intriguing about it. It was making me very curious about this world, even though I did not love the Dark Crystal the one time I saw it, but I will revisit it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Roth.
I'm going to do that and pretend I didn't hear
I'm dead to her.
25% of that. You don't, just for the record, you do not have to choose between the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. I didn't even realize that was a thing. Like, I love them
It's
both.
not always a thing.
Well, mine was Never Ending Story. They
Yeah.
weren't even in the running.
I just rewatched that. I just
it is-
rewatched that the other day.
It is dark.
It is so dark. It's
boy.
amazing, but so is the Dark Crystal.
right.
How excited are you?
So yeah, this was one where I'm like not huge. I was never a huge stan of the Dark Crystal, but it looks really gorgeous, and I like the way that the art direction is, which I'm sure is everyone will be like, well, that's what the original looked like. It's like, yeah, but that one looks slightly like we can enhance things
The
now. with
style
other
looks a
things.
little
Yeah,
more
this-
increased on it.
Yeah. So I like that, but yeah, no, I was never a huge Dark Crystal fan.
Okay.
I know, breaking hearts. We bring you back to break your heart.
Well, now I feel as though I must love the Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal.
No, you know what? I am a stan for puppets.
Yeah.
I am a straight puppet stan. And so, like, looking at the fact that they physically threw these puppets in the water.
That poor puppet got tossed in the water.
I just think that's so awesome. You know what I mean? And I love that, and I love the imagination therein. And I like the fact that this is supposedly a prequel that shows the I guess the Dark Crystal, who's like a shard of it, was like missing in the last one.
Well, the crystal was broken.
Yeah, the crystal was broken. And hopefully, yeah, I'll let you my glass. Yeah. Bust it down. Yeah.
No, I actually do have questions about the lore.
Sure.
First of all, the trailer is amazing, obviously, and this is my #1 most anticipated show of the entire year. Period. Whatever. Forever.
So you're slightly excited.
I'm so excited. I love the Dark Crystal. I love Labyrinth too. It's got Bowie. Come on. But the Dark Crystal was 100% my movie, and it's a beautiful parable for life. It is about the reconciliation of the soul and the aspects of you that you divorce yourself from because they are deemed to be lesser than or evil or bad or whatever, and how when you do a shadow integration, you become the full version of yourself that you were always meant to be. It's Luke Skywalker in the freaking cave, man. It is mad. It is like it is philosophical. It is deep. It is profound. I loved it the minute I saw it as a child. I have loved it ever since then. It is 100% the journey that we are all on as human beings. But I will note that the crystal had a split, and the split created these two creatures, right? One was the Skeksis, which were very, very evil. So I do have a question, because the Skeksis seem to be creating the split, which doesn't make sense, because the split is what created the Skeksis. Timeline issue.
Canon. They better not mess with the canon.
Because the beauty of this, and the only reason why I care about that is because the beauty of the story is the idea that the split in the crystal is what split this one being that was this really enormous, powerful light being into two. And one was like, they were kind of like riffing on Tibetan monks, like they did the chanting that Tibetan monks do with the like guttural
the throat singing sort of style. Yeah.
And that was the one being, and then the other were the Skeksis, who were really, really evil and twisted, and they were stealing the life force from
Those
these
are the
other
vulture-looking dudes?
Those were the vulture-looking dudes, and
Okay.
they were like literally surviving by stealing the life force from these other creatures. So they're very, very predatory. But anyway, the point is, when the crystal is healed, they come back together, and they form the one being, and it's the integration of those sides of yourself that we all must do as human beings. I just can't tell you enough how amazing the Dark Crystal is, and how excited I am for the show. So don't screw it up, Netflix.
Ooh.
Oh.
Just kidding.
I like,
Thanks
by the
for making
way,
the show.
You're sitting with three people wearing glasses, but you were doing the fake glasses.
And making me like have to think
Am I okay?
It's like if somebody's
wait a
like
minute,
shining a
wait,
sickness on your face.
I actually need them. I just don't always wear them, and then sometimes I can't see. Casey asks, in honor of Rocket Man coming out this weekend, what biopics would you like to see made, and who would you like to see cast in the role?
Well, I'm sticking with DC, and also just because I think it's a fascinating story. I would love to see a biopic of Bill Finger.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be really interesting. That is a story that did that do something for you, Ed? I'm sure a lot of our audience knows, some of them don't. Bob Kane is the one who was given all of the credit essentially for creating Batman, but Bill Finger had a huge hand in, his co-creator essentially, a huge hand in creating a lot of the elements that make Batman Batman, and that what make everyone love Batman. But he wound up not getting full credit for that, and there's some great. There's a great documentary about it on Netflix, or on
Hulu, I
Hulu.
believe,
Go check
yeah.
that out. But yeah, I would love to have that. I don't know. Obviously, that's going to be an IP thing, so I don't know how much of a biopic you could do with something like that. But I would be really interested to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And really, just anyone who wants an Oscar. Just cast anyone who wants an Oscar.
Yeah, all of the Oscars, all of the time.
Oscars.
What about you?
First of all, my favorite band ever is Oingo Boingo, who some people haven't
Oh my
heard
God.
of.
Everybody's heard of Oingo
No,
Boingo.
that's not true. Some people only know Dead Man's Party and or Weird Science. They don't know they were a band that lasted for a long time around that. So Danny Elfman, but they do know Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was like a rock star, but then he became this big composer. I'm like, I think like there's something there. Like
Yeah.
you can do something with that. But then also, if you just want like pure drama, I think actually inevitably, if they can work out the rights and the music rights, a Fleetwood Mac movie will probably happen. Because it's like it's such a soap opera. It is such a like if you read the history of this
be a
band,
10-episode series.
right,
The next feud.
yeah, totally. Ryan Murphy.
FX, right, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like there's so much drama with like the band lineup changing and affairs and breakups, both breakups of romances and the band and resolutions and lawsuits. It pretty much has everything you would ever want, and good songs. And I have no idea who I cast in it. Maybe Evan Rachel Wood is Stevie Nicks because she's a blonde good actress who sings.
Yeah, for sure. Also a witch, notably.
Also a
yeah.
witch.
I don't know that. I just presume. Ed.
Okay, mine. JT, you got that? You got that asset? Boom. Okay.
look at you.
Look at that. Yeah. Okay.
What if like lights turn on? He has like a whole production playing. It's like
Teacher's pet over here. All right,
he stands up for like a TED talk.
Can I get one spot? Can I get the spot? Just one spot. My thing is, I really like. I have met this person too, Mr. T. Biopic. Mr. T has such an interesting story, and I think it could be cast with Winston Duke.
Yes.
Winston Duke as Mr. T. Why do you think I asked, JT?
There you go. Thank you.
in Mr. T.
Yes.
The old days in
I'm
Philadelphia,
I'm in.
bouncing
Go
and
back and forth.
bodyguarding.
Ooh,
Yeah, dude.
that is a MILF.
That is amazing.
Mr. T. I like that.
I've met him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came
He
down
sat
and
at
did the
this
interview.
very table.
Oh, not here.
But not at the other table.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It
At
wasn't.
this- not
no,
this
not
table.
Winston Duke. I meant
Oh,
Mr.
Mr. T. Oh, yeah. When'd you
Yeah.
meet Mr. T?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's a whole other story.
I met Mr. T at a soul food restaurant, and he was eating the Mr. T special.
Amazing.
And he was sitting directly under his picture of himself as Mr.
That's
T.
great.
And I was the only person in my group who noticed him, and I didn't want to say anything. I was not going to blow up his spot. And then
He blew up his spot. That's
yeah,
why I came
come on.
no, but you know what? But I think it's a smallish restaurant. Maybe he didn't sit under under his picture on purpose. I don't know. But yeah, we talked to him a little bit, and boy, when he gets to talking,
Oh yeah.
boy, you know, he really is that guy.
Yeah.
That is not a character. That is that guy, and that's why I'm interested in a biopic, because the way he decided to be has helped him throughout his life. His strength. He basically he won a basically had best bodyguard competition for NBC. It was like Last Comic Standing, but for bodyguards and tough guys. He won that like twice, and each time he gave his check to the local mission for homeless people. Each time, and he said those good deeds are the reason why Stallone noticed him when he was doing security for Stallone for some other thing. And then boom, he goes in, auditions for Rocky, gets it, and says, "I'll do a great job for you." And then from that point, you know, I mean,
He's on the A-team.
I mean, dude, I mean, they let him ride around in a van full of white kids who were gymnasts on a cartoon. That's how
did.
accepted
Yeah.
he was.
Amazing.
He was a superstar.
There was
He had his own
cereal.
cereal.
Yeah.
Mr. T cereal. He had a
You
little
terminate that
dog with a
cereal.
mohawk. He had a dog with a mohawk.
Yeah.
You have to be somebody or be somebody's fool. That's
And Mr. T, the reason why he got Mr. T was they said, I want.
Actually, we were talking about
yeah.
catchphrases before we started.
Yeah, I
and-
pity the fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got 18 because they were like, I like George Papard and I like that guy with the gold chains. That's why A-Team exists. Those two, and then they built the whole rest of it around him because he's such a great
Rightfully so.
personality. So like, I would love to see a biopic with my man Winston. That would kill it to me.
I can't. I wish you had gone last because I don't think anybody's. I know
I
it's
have a
gonna be-
Mr.
that's
T related
like
story to tell you
first-
after.
we all have our Mr. T related stories.
Yes.
I can't be that. That's such a good idea. That's such perfect casting. Winston Duke is such a good actor. You
Yeah.
guys, if you haven't seen Us,
Yeah.
Oh my
he
God.
plays two different characters in the movie. And he's like the most perfect nerdy dad and the most menacing, you know, like personification of the id. Yes. I can't top it, so I'll just rattle off. I was going to say, like, I want to see a Nina Simone documentary, but that's just because I don't think enough people, not documentary, well, I'd watch that too, biopic, because I just don't think enough people are aware of her.
No, that's
no
well
one saw
worth.
that,
That's
yeah.
well
Yeah.
worth saying because obviously there was that abortive attempt
Yeah.
previously,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
and all the
With those,
controversy
yeah.
therein that we don't have to talk about.
Yeah.
But a properly cast Nina
cast,
Simone,
yeah.
because people don't understand that hers is a mental health story as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It isn't just the whole cycle of oppression, so called, that had her be like a little wonky certain times.
Yeah.
It's the fact that like she had actual issues that are misdiagnosed. And we need to talk about like how that affects one who is also
Yeah.
being oppressed, who is also a brilliant artist, who is also in an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
who is also. She
Yeah.
had so many facets.
Yes.
So that's beautiful.
That is what I would like to see. I don't know who you cast in that. Is the truth,
That's a hard
because
one.
she's. You,
How about
you
an unknown
can't-
for once?
An unknown,
Yeah.
and also the thing is, like with Nina's voice, you can't. Like who?
I can't. I'm gonna do that thing. Crazy Eyes from or Suzanne
New
as we're
Black.
calling
And then
her.
you just don't
Orange is
have
the New
her
Black.
sing.
She can sing.
She can.
She can sing.
Yeah, she can.
Like Nina.
She can sing. Like she
Okay.
sang on when they did again I'm doing it the Black Wizard of Oz.
The Wiz.
Yeah,
The
the
Wiz,
Wiz. She
yeah.
was in that. Yeah, she has like a voice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we
would've
did
been a
it.
better
That is the one that I would really, really, really love to see. But again, it's for all of the reasons that you mentioned. Like, it's an incredible life story, but also I just love her. I grew up loving her, and not enough people, I think, are aware of her genius. That's it. Randomly, what else would be cool though is the people that created Dungeons and Dragons. I did a whole Dungeons and Dragons thing recently, and it's basically like Jobs and Wozniak. Like
Yeah.
fascinating. Gary Gygax and David Arneson. I believe I'm getting that name. Gary Gygax for sure, and I think it's Dave Arneson. Anyway, but Nina Simone first and foremost. Okay, we did it. We did it. We have a Godzilla junket to show you. We have fun things from the Godzilla set. Our own Kim Taylor Foster sat down with the cast of The King of the Monsters, and you're going to watch it right now, and then we're going to see you at another point later in the week, or maybe today. Somebody's going to be here. I don't know who, and I don't know for what, but it's going to be great. Yeah. I did it.
My God, Zilla.
I have gathered some fan questions from our huge Godzilla community. How would a city respond in real life to a Godzilla attack?
I mean, I feel like the reaction of a Godzilla attack would mirror what we see in the films. Sheer panic.
Panic. You can't trust the general public with nothing. You know, you just don't know how they're going to handle it.
Technically, it's who's controlling the people.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, you know, like if there's somebody provoking the panic, then the city's gonna be panicking.
So the authorities.
Yes.
The authorities should keep it straight.
If there was a Godzilla attack in real life, what's the first thing you would do?
I would just follow his tracks. If I'm always behind him, there's no way of him getting me.
And he's like, is that 11?
He's like, hold on a second.
Myself, I'd be on the rooftop enjoying the show.
But that rooftop would soon crumble, presumably.
I mean, if you're gonna go out, I mean, going out in a Godzilla attack is pretty great.
Usually when Godzilla's there, it's because something else is bothering us. See, Godzilla works as everybody's dad. And once another monster comes and is picking on us, he comes and handles it. So usually I would be happy to see Godzilla. Any of the other ones though, I'm running for my life.
We only get a glimpse of some of the other Titans.
Mothra, Ghidorah, Rodan.
And in one trailer, this dude says 17 and counting.
How many of these things are there?
17 and counting.
What are those other monsters?
Well, they're all named. They all have histories, identities, and those names are in the film. They're all drawn from classical mythology, depending on the region that they were discovered in. So, yeah, you'll have to see the movie to get introduced to them.
Okay. So, could we see more of them going forward?
Fingers crossed, if enough people see this movie, then yeah.
If you could be any monster, what monster would you be?
Godzilla. I know what's in the title. I'm writing checks for the rest of these monsters.
Yeah, there you go. You're gonna get some nice residuals.
Yeah, you know.
Imagine the residuals Godzilla's
got bank at the house.
I would say Mothra.
Okay, why?
Because she's so pretty and she's so elegant and graceful. That's what I want to be.
Yeah, it's good to aspire to.
Mothra's super clutch.
Yeah, she's sick.
Godzilla King of the Monsters is bonkers.
I love that word.
The Monsterverse has escalated quickly.
Yes.
How does it up the ante from here?
Really good question. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, Godzilla will next be facing off against Kong, which feels like a fight that was written in the stars a long time ago. I feel like seeing two characters that everybody knows finally going head-to-head, toe-to-toe, will capture the same intensity and scale as this film.
We love both of those characters, though. I think what I want is a team-up.
Yes, I mean, ideally they'll figure out how to put aside their differences. We'll see.
One for you, O'Shea. If you could include 3 more Toho kaijus in King of the Monsters, which would you choose?
So, number 1, without thought, is Gigan.
Gigan. I knew you were gonna say that.
Listen, Gigan, that was like my biggest fear as a kid, was Gigan. I can't. Mecha Godzilla, I guess he counts as a kaiju because they built him, but yeah, Mecha Godzilla for sure. And Destroyer, mostly because, you know, he killed Godzilla's son, you know, it was kind of a big deal. And yeah, I would go with that. Mecha Godzilla, Gigan, and Destroyer.
Good choices.
Sorry.
Nerding out.
What other kaiju would you like to see in the Monsterverse?
I'm partial to Mechagodzilla, and there's another one called Biollante. She's one of the few other female kaiju, and she's sort of a Frankenstein creature that's the result of humans once again stupidly meddling with Mother Nature. So she was sort of genetically engineered, a combination of human DNA, Godzilla DNA, and a plant. So she has a very tragic backstory, which I find really interesting.
The film teases the early days of the kaiju. What monsters and creatures would you feature in this Godzilla BC idea of yours that you've spoken about?
I don't know yet. I mean, Godzilla would be the central figure if I ever got to do a Godzilla BC film. There's something fascinating about seeing Godzilla in a completely different, almost prehistoric setting.
Can you make a movie where Godzilla travels to another dimension?
I mean, anything's possible with Godzilla. That's the fun. He's had so many completely insane storylines. There's been time travel and aliens and psychics. So who's to say?
Amelia, I've got a fan question for you. We've got a big Godzilla and Stranger Things community. Cool. So the question from them was spoilers about Stranger Things season 3, and that was it. But can you tell us something you found surprising about 11 that you haven't told anybody else in season 3?
Oh, surprising. Well,
moving on.
No, she's so good
All
to
right,
y'all. If I had the opportunity, I'd make up lies for the internet all day. Oatmeal. And like, what does she mean by this?
What does she mean? Yeah.
So, okay, quick one. Who would win in a fight between Godzilla and the Demogorgon then?
What do you think? Like, do you think that... Because I feel like, personally, don't you feel like the Demogorgon's more spiritual? Like, he has more of like a presence. You know, whereas Godzilla's a physical being, but I feel like the Demogorgon, like the Mind Flare, they're all in the alter universe. It's kind of like Ghidorah. Oh wait, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but maybe.
All right.
Okay.
It's kind of not like.
It's kind of not like, but kind of like. Go watch our movie.
It's real smooth.
Yeah, there you go.